It's 420 somewhere, and right now that somewhere is right here. Hey there, I'm Janae Burris.
And I'm Jake Browne. Welcome to the Cannabis Show, where we talk all things weed. Janae, nice to see you. How was your holiday?
Pretty good. Played some poker, and that's all I need for a holiday. I don't even need to know what the holiday is.
The old poker holiday. Where are you playing? A little acey-doocy, hold'em?
Little hold'em, you know, that's my thing. Just winning a little money off of my friend.
Okay, so you came up. Can we talk about how much?
Not that much.
Is that gauche?
I didn't lose. Okay, that's the important part. I didn't lose.
Where were you playing poker?
I went over Aaron and Kyle.
I'm just totally going to narc on you right now. I'm like,
no,
all right,
it was a friendly
got
game.
This underground poker game.
Those are legal, totally
friendly.
legal. Totally legal.
All right, so a little poker. Nice.
What about you? How you doing? You had that big move.
I am done moving.
Congratulations.
I hate moving, but I do like finding a bunch of random weed. That was nice.
Of course you have random weed.
But I don't know what to do with it. All this weed that...
you don't know what to do with it?
Well, no. Listen, it's all so old. It tastes really weird. So I need some suggestions from our listeners. If you're watching, if you're listening, what should I do with this old weed? Don't tell me to smoke it before. I've done like edibles with it.
Can you make like a facial exfoliating?
What are you trying to say about my skin, Jay?
Nothing.
All right, so I'm gonna rub a bunch of weed on my face. No, that's where I'm at right now. I found a bunch of drugs and now I don't know what to do with them. All right, now let's go to the week in weed, everybody. All right, a Bay Area company has just announced they raised $8.1 million for what they claim is the first marijuana breathalyzer. The Hound Labs product can detect weed on your breath for a few hours after smoking, just like my mom in high school. The biggest problem they face, getting people to blow instead of inhaling and politely passing to the left.
Nice, okay. Oregon vineyards try their hand at an obviously perfect pairing, long overdue in my opinion, cannabis farming and tourism. Hello, what a genius idea. Wow, Oregon is on the board and ready to play with this ultimate wine and weed pairing. Bring it on, Colorado. Oregon wants to compete for those dank dollars. Finally, a vacation option that feels just like, you know, you never left your own living room. That's the kind of vacation I like. A vacation geared towards people like me, where the only gear required is a wine opener and a lighter. None of that 14er calorie burning, enjoying the great outdoors garbage. Along with wine and weed pairings, I hope the Jacksonville, Oregon vineyard owners offer activities after the tour, like snacks on the sofa, movies to fall asleep to, waiting pool time, and late night naps.
Wait, what's a late night nap? Isn't that just sleep?
I don't know. I prefer naps, so.
All right, deal. Speaking of vacations, Katie Shapiro's summer smoker supply suggestions are now up on the site. Janae, my favorite is the Helinox beach chair, because I like imagining I could afford $170 for a camping chair.
Yikes. Okay, really? The chair. Did not figure you for a chair guy. Took you more for the majestic juggling sticks kind of guy.
Wait.
Just, I saw those sticks, I was like, yeah, this is Jake right here. Just, you never juggled sticks before?
Listen, I am barely coordinated. I can put together an outfit, that's about it, and most of the time I'm failing in that regard.
You look like a stick juggler.
That's not a compliment.
It sounds almost racist. Stick juggler. No, I didn't mean it that way.
That's a nice little euphemism. What did you see on the list? Anything jump out to you?
My favorite thing, of course, the bicycle hemp playing cards. Hello. You know that winning rent off my friends means a good time.
Janae has a gambling problem.
Tiny. It's so tiny. And I just want to give a shout out to Barry. Rematch when you're ready. You're a marked man. All right, I want my money back, Barry.
Oh, God. Yeah, I think it's good for the listeners to know that, yes, my father-in-law is a card shark, and he does not accept cannabis for payment. Now, actually, to his home state of Pennsylvania, where police seized a 72-year-old's home because her son was busted smelling small amounts of pot on the property. Now,
smelling it?
Just smelling it or
just
selling it?
Just a young guy
smelling.
Sitting around smelling some weed. We can't smell weed. This is not America.
No, he was busted. So he had a little bit of pot that he was selling, apparently out of there, and his mom's minivan. But a recent court ruling could mean she gets it all back. On the flip side, if the cops also take her dog, she'd have a #1 country hit.
Oh, that's sad, a sad story.
Took
Jake.
my minivan, took my dog, took my home. My son's in jail. It's the song of a generation.
Oh man, that's so sad. Is this how the baby boomers are retiring now? In sadness. Okay, this is me. The green rush has made its way to California's Salinas Valley. Finally, you guys. I spent a season performing theater in Steinbeck country many moons ago and would be totally happy to go back and enjoy the sweet and musky aroma of pot plants in the air versus the usual scent of cabbage decaying in the summer heat. That's what it smells like in Salinas. It smells so bad.
What happened?
Because there's just cabbage farms and lettuce farms everywhere. So at the end of the season, it's just like rotting, and so.
Because what, cabbage sales are down?
I don't know.
People are getting that jazz cabbage, if you know what I mean. God, that's
so silly. What does it say? I can't help but wonder how different the Steinbeck legacy might be if the valley that inspired many of his most famous stories offered a little herbal inspiration. In today's Spark of Genius, new segment, y'all. I'd like to offer Mr. Steinbeck a few alternative titles, okay? Number 5. Smoking a log from the Sea of Cortez. Okay, now this book is just the same as the old book. Instead of collecting marine specimens, though, Steinbeck and Ricketts collect cannabis specimens, and they share a joint.
That is a deep cut.
Number 4, you're not into literature?
Oh, yeah.
In Dubious Battle. Okay, In Dubious Battle. That's the play. Okay, that one's self-explanatory. Number 3. Number 3, East of Whedon. Hello.
Well
Same
played.
story of brotherly rivalry, but they share a joint and move on. All right, see how Whedon's helping all these Steinbeck stories? They're not as sad anymore.
I don't think they're stories anymore. It's just two brothers sharing a joint.
They get over it. They get over it. Dad loves you both, okay? Okay, number 2, of Seeds and Stems. Yeah, you've all read that one. Lenny is way more chill in this version. And number 1, The Grapes of Reps. Still about the Dust Bowl, which is now packed with weed instead of despair. And in the movie version, Method Man replaces Henry Fonda.
Okay, that was amazing. I want to see, what is it, Spark of Genius?
Spark of Genius.
All right, watch out, Spark Notes. We've got the hottest spark out there now. For more on that story and the rest of the Week in Weed, visit us online at thecannabis.co. Now let's check in with our own Professor Pat for this week's entry into that new cannabis lexicon.
Trichome. Holding the majority of the cannabinoid content in the plant, the trichomes are crystalline structures which coat the plant's bract and leaf surfaces. Looking much like a mushroom when magnified, the head contains the majority of the cannabinoid content and essential oils, but the stalk also has some value. To hear that in a sentence, the trichome heads on this sour D are huge. I can't wait to see what the high is like.
Thanks, Professor. Our guests this week are the people to talk to if you're looking for a job in the cannabis industry or looking to fill one. Please welcome Brenda Blanchard-Kooser and Caela Bintner to the show. Hey, welcome.
Hi.
Thank you so much for joining us. Please, welcome to the Cannabist Show. All right, so you're with Faces Human Capital Management.
Yes, good job.
You're managing human capital.
We try.
Okay, so one of the questions I get all the time, people go, how do I get a job in the weed business? Specifically my job. Let's not help them out there, but what's this job market look like right now? And I feel like you have the finger on the pulse.
It's hot, yeah. I mean, it's almost hard to find enough good quality people to fill these positions. I mean, there's a lot of opportunity right now in Denver and other states around the country.
Yeah, Colorado in particular has, just really low unemployment rates right now. And so you've got people, we had a story on this site this week where one company found 90% of their potential employees failed drug tests. Not as big of an issue in the cannabis space. Are people just having trouble finding qualified candidates out there? Or is it a lot of new people moving in from out of state? What's going on?
It's kind of all of the above.
Okay.
Yeah, the qualified candidates, everybody thinks it's cool to be in the weed industry because, it's the weed industry.
I was there once.
But you actually, looking for the candidates that are going to do what you need them to do.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the work's a little mundane, and, some of it's exciting. So it's trying to find the right people to fill the mundane positions as well as the the higher level positions that are more specific.
Yeah.
No, please go ahead.
I was just saying, they think it's very glamorous.
Right.
And they're like, what do you mean I have to stand there all day and just trim plants in this white room with no pictures? And no
Hopefully
music?
they've got some good tunes at least. I mean, that was my thing.
Some
If
do.
I'm trimming, at least give me something I can rock out to, or just so other people aren't talking. So I think it's really interesting. You're talking about how there's almost 60% turnover rate now.
Crazy.
Now, is that on the dispensary side, the back of the house, in the cultivation space, or both?
Again, all of the above.
Yeah.
You talk.
Majority of the turnover is in the production area, just
Okay.
because I think people don't quite understand what it takes, and some of the jobs, as she mentioned, are pretty tedious. So, the employers are figuring out they need to have job shadowing and do stuff like that, so people get a true idea of what they'll be doing every day. So they get in there and they're like, wow, I'm not just smoking weed all day. Yeah.
No one's smoking weed. I mean,
Exactly. And they're like, maybe one for you, two for me. And they're like, no. Yes.
Yeah. So when people are getting into these situations, especially employers, I know that you help out with onboarding employees. What does that look like? Because I remember I would start at a dispensary and they'd be like, here's how to work the computer. Here are the jars. Now go for it.
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
It's the whole gamut. The smaller companies, we see a lot of what you just described.
Okay.
And some of the companies, as they grow and transition into a larger space, are figuring out that we need to actually give some people tools and help them understand, let them know that we're happy that they're here, as opposed to just tossing them out and saying, good luck with that.
Now, what kind of candidates are you seeing that are coming in and being really successful? What are their core competencies, or what can people do before they even land the job to really set themselves up for success?
Service skills, can you put a sentence together? Are you easy to stand next to?
Right.
Hygiene is always nice in
Ah.
the small spaces. But just, they don't have to have a specific degree or anything, but people that are willing to come to work when they're supposed to. I know they try to keep a very loose culture, but in the end, it's a business, right?
Sure.
So people have to show up and have to do the job. Just are willing to
Ignore that. It means nothing.
Well, I got two verbos.
Everything you were saying was the correct answer.
Final answer. That was my final answer.
So on the employer side, where are they messing up?
I think what I mentioned earlier, just really giving the candidates, finding the right candidates, really vetting them, instead of just, oh, my friend Joe needs a job and I don't know if he's a good fit. So really taking the time to find that. Sorry, Joe. Maybe next time. But just making sure that they are a good fit, that they do have the skills, that they understand what the culture is. But like really just getting them a good idea of what the job is.
Okay.
Yeah, not hiring your friends and your brother.
It starts out
Hiring,
well.
Qualified, or people that are interested in the industry, that kind of thing.
That's literally the only way I've ever gotten a job in cannabis is because I've known a friend.
It's totally prevalent. We always say that, friends, family they're good workers, but they're terrible employees.
Oh yeah, I was. Listen, I think you hit the nail on the head.
Somebody has to sit down and say, Jake's not happening, man. You're not doing your job. Like, people's feelings get hurt, and there's history that you can't ignore.
Right.
It's rough.
Okay, so how are people finding employees right now when they're not just like pulling out of their own pool?
To be honest, they're advertising on Indeed just like you would any other job. A lot of it is word of mouth. There's actually companies popping up that just will do recruiting for the cannabis industry. They're pulling a lot from culinary, like a lot of the edibles, because that's really on the rise. So they're trying to get people to cross over from the culinary industry into it.
Are budtenders paid enough?
They are not.
Are we? Because
No.
I took a lot of heat recently. I wrote
you?
an article that there was. I think we should get rid of the tip jars. That we should just pay budtenders like they deal with people that have serious health issues. For people that are sitting in North Dakota going, man, I really want to be a bud tender out in Colorado. What can they reasonably expect to make here?
Well,
Right.
I mean, it's low.
It's hard. We've seen between $12 and $15 an hour
Right.
entry level, which is rough, especially if you want to live in the Denver, proper region as far as cost of living and such.
Well, the food industry, though, only pays, servers get $5.31 plus tips, and then something like fast food is only $10.50 maybe.
Yeah.
So
What are comedians, like 25 a set now?
beer tickets?
Beer
Exactly.
tickets.
Free beer.
There. But I think the difference is, and that's a huge high turnover industry as well, as everybody knows. But in cannabis, I mean, you want to be having, you know, your customers returning to your store, not just going to the store down the street. So it's kind of important that, you know, the face of your store, your budtenders and your, you know, all the different salespeople stay. And so, you know, maybe you can't pay them, you know, $20 an hour, $25 an hour, but give them an incentive to stay there. Give them, you know, Fridays off for a ski pass or something. So we're trying to work with our clients and giving them more of a culture, a lifestyle, so they stay with you and not just go to the dispensary down the street for $1 more an hour or whatever.
Exactly, because they do. That's where right now, that's where a lot of the turnover is. Well, so and so will pay me $1 an hour more, but if we're trying to help our clients be innovative and find things, what motivates your employees, what are they interested in, and then how can you support that? And you know, they're the first impression. You know, I walk into a dispensary. That's my first impression, and first impressions are really hard to change if they're bad, you know, to recover from that. So that was one of our things that we were trying to get people, so that you're making good hires, you're paying them where they feel valued, whether it's by the hour or by the perks that they get.
We're literally just paying them. But one thing that I love is that
and not paying
Detail.
or something like that, right?
Well, and that's what I love is that you
electric
offer
company.
these, you know, payroll services where, you know, some people really have an issue just getting a paycheck that they go, here, you know, I'll get you some cash, or and it kind of becomes a disaster. How did that start? In terms of being able to kind of circumvent traditional payroll systems and being able to offer clients that?
Well, we have a good, unless you want to speak to it, we have a good relationship with some of the credit unions, so that they're smaller and not quite as regulated. So
They
not
got
to
a
say,
little wiggle.
They got
you
wiggle
know?
room. I like that. So that's kind of how we're working through that. But our job and what we're trying to do is give them the transparency, because that's where the fear comes. You know, that's where the federal government is. It's, you know, we're trying to stop all this. You know, we just did a talk with one of the banks, educating people on money laundering and what to look for and what are the red flags, you know, and that's something we can assist with, because we're right there on site with the clients, helping them get set up. We know their business. We are learning about their employees. You know, they go through us to put their payroll in. So if they're asking for, you know, Mr. ABC, give me $1 million. Right there. So, you know, those are kind of red flags that will go, I don't know. I don't remember seeing him on the employee list.
Okay. Well, as someone who has never laundered money, that I mean, that is great.
That's
right?
the secret.
All right. So speaking of learning about employees, I'm dying to get to what's inside this green folder, because we took a disc assessment before the show to see how compatible Janae, Vince, and myself are to work together on the Cannabist Show. Now, I haven't opened this up yet. Janae has her folder as well. But what can you tell us about the three of us? And should we be working together?
I'm sure you want to know.
Yes, absolutely. Let's
The
get into it.
answer is, I can tell you that you guys are all unique in your own ways, like everybody is,
Hey.
and that you absolutely, I would imagine you communicate pretty well, because
Okay.
you all are very similar in style.
Okay, now what's our, so it's DISC, they're all separate different styles of
Yes,
communication?
so
Okay.
it stands for Discovering Individual Styles of Communication.
Okay.
It's based on a man named William Marston created this like back in the 20s. He divided human behavior into 4 different styles, and then created this quadrant. And the way they kind of assesses, they look, are you really active or more reserved when you're interacting with people? What do you focus on? Are you focused on end results or more on the relationships and the people? And that's how he created the 4 quadrants. And then they use this online assessment, takes about 10 minutes, uses adaptive questioning. So based on the first few questions you answer, we'll determine what questions come your way later.
Okay.
Which
I
gives-
felt like there were some that were like, oh, they're gunning for me on that.
Asking me the same
They
thing.
got me figured out, yeah.
I told you already. But yeah, and we found that in using that with this product, that the results are pretty spot on.
All right, so I have this chart here, and we're going to put it up for viewers at home. So on results, we've got Vince Chandler is a D style, and then Janae and I are both DC styles. So what does that mean?
Well, so let's talk about it. So D is for
Sure.
dominance.
Okay, so Vince is
So, and that's why I said you
super
guys
dominant.
probably communicate pretty easily understand each other fairly well is because you all have D in your style. So D's are
that's fun.
D's like control. D's like to be in control.
Okay.
They hate the thought of not being in control of a situation. They're usually pretty direct. Can be perceived by others as being abrupt sometimes because they are direct. It's not about.
Okay, so Vince could be abrupt sometimes?
Theoretically.
Does that
Nailed
surprise you
it.
guys?
Does that surprise
Nailed
you?
it. I don't even need to hear the rest of the results. Nailed it on Vince.
It was interesting because he came in and he's like, "You're going to stand here," and which is good. You need
Sure.
to give us all that information, but
But if you get 3 Ds in a room, can that be an issue too?
yes, it can be because you all will have your idea of how it should go and where it should go,
Okay.
and they'll be like, "Here's my idea," and then you all figure it out, and then I'm off. D's like action. They like movement. They don't want to. They like change, and that can be a challenge sometimes because sometimes they'll just be changed for the sake of change, not necessarily because it needs to be changed.
Okay.
Because it's like, well, I'm tired of this. They can, when they can come across abrupt, they want bottom line. You want either bullet points, want to know what the end result. That's what they focus on. They're active in how they interact and focused on the end result.
Okay, and then I see on this chart that we have you on kind of the opposite end of the spectrum here, Brenda. So here's Janae, here's you. I'm kind of right over here. Kaylin and I are kind of splitting the difference from the edges. So when employers do these kinds of assessments, what are they looking for? Trying to create a lot of different kind of opposed positions?
Not necessarily. Honestly, everybody's a combination of all 4 of those styles.
Sure.
But we have our styles that energetically it's very easy to do. So we kind of hang out there. Human beings like easy. So that's where we hang out. And that's where we tend to go. That's our preference. So, but what this knowledge can do, and what I found really interesting is I've worked in a lot of different verticals as far as industries. In the cannabis industry, it's usually within the company spread out evenly between all 4 styles.
Okay.
So it seems like cannabis
Which is
industry
unique to
is
cannabis.
really
That's typically not it in other industries.
yeah.
Really?
It's more specific to one of the
Because
quadrants,
industries tend to usually we'll see kind of a leaning towards a certain style just because whatever is required in that job are things that come easy to people.
And it'll attract that style,
Exactly.
that type of candidate.
But it hasn't been that way in cannabis. It's been pretty evenly spread. So, I mean, you could have all Ds. It's just a matter of understanding yourself and then knowing the people that you work with. If I were coaching you all, I would just ask you to be a little cognizant of, like, you all are very personable and easy to talk to on our first impression. So what's behind the curtain, I don't know. But I would coach you and I would say, just be cognizant of the relationship piece because all y'all are on the one side that's focused on end results and tasks.
Right.
And depending on who you have to interact, whether it's guests or other people, production people, whatever, like if you were working with Kaela and I, you'd have to be a little fluffier and if you were telling us something that we needed to correct as opposed to you did that wrong, just fix it, kind of thing. Because we could potentially, because we're more focused on the relationship, the engaging, connecting piece of it.
Which is probably good in your industry,
It
right?
is,
right.
Being able to emotionally connect with people.
That's right.
And
But sometimes we struggle with the follow through and like the big ideas and coming up with what we do with it because we have to be cognizant of that piece of it because we're more focused on the relationship piece of it.
Sure. Okay, so Vince is just D, and then Janae and I are DCs.
Yeah. Most people are a combination of 2, sometimes 3 styles, which means that you will exhibit characteristics of those 2 styles the majority
Where Vince
of the time.
is like a hard D right
And
there.
Like Vince and BBK would not get along.
No, we would get along, but I'd probably cry.
Right. You might make her cry on a daily basis, so it's
Okay.
No,
that
but
makes sense.
there's a few
That make
people. Vince is special.
Sure.
There you go.
We know.
That operate, and all that means is that he almost 100% of the time you're going to see him exhibit those D characteristics.
Right.
So what's interesting too is if you'll see in that circle, each style has like 3 priorities. So you all 3 share those priorities from the D quadrant.
Okay.
And Jake, you bring in the accuracy because sometimes because Ds are very fast moving, and this you too, Janae, with the C. That's the information people.
Okay.
They like structure, they like rules, they like process. They want to know the why behind something. So if you're presenting something, somebody that has a lot of C in their style is that you better have done your research and not just changing it just because.
Just going around willy-nilly. I hate
Exactly.
willy-nilly.
I don't like Willie either.
All right, we did it.
Yes.
If people want to do this online, is that just they pop on and Google?
No, they
or?
need to come to me.
All right, come to Brenda.
You have to, in order to facilitate this, you have to be you go through a whole certification process.
Oh, great. Okay,
And
so you're certified.
I am
So
certifiable.
typically, like in an evaluation like this, she would spend like 2-3 hours with her
Yeah.
clients.
Wow.
So this is
Very
like 10
high
minutes.
level.
She's going, so you're not really getting the full gist.
But she's like
it's-
nailed it regarding
But she
Vince.
did. That's all you do, right? It's like
Nailed
2
it.
minutes, right?
That's what certification will do.
If you're certified.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, we're gonna do the pop quiz in just a moment, but first, we always talk consumption on the show, and we always ask, what's your favorite way to weed? Do you like flower, edibles, or concentrates?
It's got to be eating. Come on.
All right.
Any kind of snacks.
Brenda's on
I'm all
edibles.
about snacks.
You're all about snacks, especially after
Before
you-
and after.
Right.
I like it.
Oh, I dabble in a little bit of everything, I have to say.
Perfect. Hey,
She gets
dabbling's great. What was your most recent dabble?
My most recent dabble, that was last week in D.C.
Oh,
Whoa!
she was lobbying.
You were lobbying?
lobbying.
Yeah, were you there?
No, I
it was
got stuck
fun.
here, but I heard it was a blast.
Yeah, it was fun. It was actually, obviously, it was very fun.
One of my friends was
Well,
sitting a couple
well,
rows up from Bernie Sanders.
Does Bernie dabble?
No, I don't know.
Did you ask?
Let's call him.
No, that is. So that's fun. So there are people that were, lobby days is fun. People get a chance to mix it up a little.
It was a good week.
Right on. All right, well, let's do it the pot quiz since you're both so excited to get to it. That's a fun new noise. All right, here we go. Who wants to play first?
Oh, me.
Kaela, thank you for stepping up. We'll give you an easy one.
Thank
No,
you.
none of these are easy. They're brutal this week.
great.
All
Thank
right,
you so
here we
much.
go. Question number 1. The guitar player who recently pulled his support for President Trump after following around the country during the campaign and playing country music was given which nickname? Was it A, Donald Thump? Was it B, Jared and the Kushners? Was it C, the Trump Troubadour? Or was it D, the Rock Her Up one-man band?
I was C.
The Trump Troubadour is correct.
Really?
Points on the board.
Look at you.
The Trump Troubadour. I feel bad for this guy because I think he genuinely wanted to believe, and then heard that Trump was pulling all of his, funding for
Right.
people that were addicted to opiates and substance abuse treatment. And he had lost his son, so it was, to, I believe, heroin addiction. So, kind of tough. I think a lot
Very
of
tough.
people were hoping that he would be tough on drugs, but also help
Right.
people get better. And
He hoped Trump would be tough on everything else that didn't affect his life personally. That's what
right,
As
and
do
He's
now
like,
all of
this
us.
one issue affects my life, so I'll go for Trump, man.
he was sold. Is what he
Sold.
said. I'm
One
like, oh,
one
God.
issue. He's a one issue man.
Has he looked at Trump recently?
Yeah, oh yeah, no, he's like, I'm
Depending
out.
on the day,
He said he
I'm
lied
in, I'm
to
out.
me. I'm like, oh, well, he lied to a lot of us. All right, Kaylin on the point, board with 1 point. We'll go to Brenda. Question number 2. The Cannabist's own Bruce Kennedy highlighted 6 organizations that provide resources to veterans. Which of the following isn't one of them specific to cannabis? Is it A, the Battlefield Foundation, B, Weed for Warriors, C, Veterans Cannabis Project, or D, the American Legion?
Oh. I know Bruce, and he's going to be mad if I get this wrong. I'll go with what was D?
D was the American Legion.
Yeah.
That is correct! That was the
scared
best
me.
reaction I've ever seen. All right, all tied up at one apiece. There's a lot of organizations out there, but it's really hard. Not a lot of national organizations that are helping out vets so far. So step it up, American Legion.
Right.
All right, the governor of which New England state, back to Kayle, is sent a bill back to the legislature that would have legalized marijuana after promising a veto. So which New England state? Is it A, Vermont, B, Maine, C, New Hampshire, or D, is Pennsylvania technically considered part of New England? I'm just curious. This is not a possible answer.
B.
Oh, I'm sorry, that is
Did you
incorrect.
say-
Brenda with a chance to steal. Is it A, Vermont, C, New Hampshire, or D, the not a possible answer?
I like D, but I'll go with A.
That is correct. Vermont. Brenda out in front with 2 points. Yeah, it looked like they were making a lot of progress there. It was one of the only kind of legislative drives for full legalization. He said, let's pump the brakes on this. Worried about stone drivers and kids, which hasn't really been a problem here in Colorado, but sure, if that's your excuse. All right, Brenda, it's back to you with a chance to lock it all up right here.
I'm excited.
Question number 4. Childless adults applying for what program, or which program in Wisconsin will be subject to drug tests thanks to Governor Scott Walker's plan? Is it A, food stamps, B, Medicare, C, Medicaid, or D, leaving Wisconsin and never coming back aid?
It's comedy.
Thank you. No one's ever said anything nice about this segment.
Brenda, stick to the.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Stick to the comedy.
I know. I forgot. See, I forgot.
A, food stamps, B, Medicare, C, Medicaid.
Let's go C.
Is it actually
Medicaid?
Medicaid? I forgot to write down the answer, but I'm like 99% sure it was Medicaid. We're going to get Brenda the point! You're a winner!
Oh my gosh, this is
I
hilarious.
thought it was A.
Foods, I think, listen, they talked a lot about Medicaid. Congratulations
Thank
on your
you.
big win.
Thank
You get your name on the wall. Also, everyone gets their name on the wall, but we'll put an asterisk.
But you don't have to tell me that. I was feeling special for a second.
All right, where can people find you online?
I'm like,
She's so excited you won.
Not personally, faces.
sweating again.
If they need to recruit you for their
Yes.
trivia team.
Exactly.
FacesHCM.com.
All right, cool. Janae, what do you have going on?
Oh, what's today?
Today is Thursday,
Did I
right?
mention the New Faces contest before? I gotta
Yes,
keep pushing it
plugged that
because
last
I
week.
have my crown to defend.
Did you win?
I won last year.
Sweet.
Contest is happening again, so I'm
had-
doing it again. Pulling out favors
had a
again.
Go down to Comedy Works,
Go
support
see it.
Janae, everybody.
Wednesday, June 7th.
Yeah, and I'll be hanging out in Philadelphia for a wedding this weekend. I don't know anything about this other than it's my fiance's friend Tweeter, so congratulations, Tweeter.
Someone named Tweeter got married.
She's a
is
lovely
getting
woman.
married.
Thanks to Brenda and Caela, Faces Human Management, for joining us today. And thanks to you for tuning in. Don't forget to comment wherever you found this episode with what I should do with all my old weed. And if you like the show, please rate us. It helps new listeners find us and helps rile up Jeff Sessions. For Janae Burris, producer Vince, and the whole Cannabis crew, I'm Jake Browne, and we'll see you next week. Thank you so much. That was great.
I'm allowed to lose, I choose to win. I'm all in, I'm calling any posse. You'll be raising at the end. I'll say it again. Ain't afraid to get in. I'll be going for the jackpot with ace in my hand. I'm raw.